Does the government have time travel? Space time travel? Something like that? We're going to be getting into it because we had some interesting statements from the federal government about some capabilities they may or may not have. Well, they say they have, but is it a flowery statement or is it actual technology at hand? Redacted had an excellent little story on here. We want to dive into it.
Alrighty, let's do it.
Welcome to the SCIF, guys.
Yeah.
This is the Secure Containment Information Facility. We can talk about the real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. So here we are on Redacted. Let's you got to watch it for yourself. There's just no way to cue this up.
I'm looking forward to this all day. I've been looking forward to talking with Ashton Forbes all day in the secret technology. Yes, the White House admitting this week, on the record, by the way, that we possess the technology to manipulate time and space. In other words, time travel, teleportation technology, like the very same technology that was used to make MH370, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, disappear in thin air on camera. And by the way, the people that are like, oh, that video's been debunked. Shut up. No, it hasn't. In fact, It's been the opposite. It's been bunked. It's not been debunked.
Hell yeah, brother.
You know, I actually don't think he's wrong about that. I watched last summer, Cheryl from the Discord was like, you need to check this out. And I did. And I watched a lot of Ashton's stuff. Pretty good. I watched the debunk. I was like, well, maybe. And then I watched his debunk of the debunk. And that was also very good.
The rebunk.
And it was quite convincing. I think the debunk was lazier than it lets off when you watch it. And definitely worth checking out. So if you immediately your antennae are reasonably going up, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? The Candace Owens interview was pretty thorough on this, and I recommend it. But what happened to MH370 was something weird. At minimum.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the video, it's insane to watch. There's footage and infrared footage of the plane flying, and then you see these three little orbs come around it and rotate around it in a triangular formation, and then it blips out of existence. It's insane. In fact, are you going to pull it up?
Yeah, I'm going to try to pull it up.
Let's pull it up.
Because why not?
It says why not right there.
Oh, is a Netflix thing on it? Let's go footage.
There it is. Yeah, the side by side. Okay, so here we're seeing the
infrared on the left.
Infrared on the left.
This is a top-down satellite view on the right. So
my first question is, I mean, the satellite makes sense. It's just up there and it's recording stuff, and that's fine. But who's recording the infrared from the ground?
A Predator drone.
Why was there a Predator drone recording this flight?
Excellent question. Unless it was
okay. You can see the orbs coming around it here, and you can see them both. There's all three, and they just orbit this thing for like 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's so wild watching.
It's insane, and then it's about to blip out. Here we go. Imagine being on that plane. You're like, the hell is happening?
Yeah, right.
Boink. Gone. Just gone.
What is that?
Insane.
What is it?
Did you ever watch Lost on TV?
No, I never did. Kyle's a huge fan, but I never watched it.
Well, I wish Kyle was here today because, to me,
pre-programming.
Pre-programming, baby. You guessed it. I mean, what a weird concept. A plane somehow, passes through some weird wormhole and enters like a alternate dimension, crash lands on this deserted island.
Whoa, dude, spoilers. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
This is a very high-level premise of the show. Not ruining anything. But, I mean, yeah, you think it's just a plane crash. But ultimately it comes out that basically it was like this thing went through space and time and somehow turned up in this weird alternate dimension. Mm-hmm. And it gets crazy, and it's been years and years and years since I watched it. And actually, I fell off on the series like halfway through because it just got so out there. I was like, I can't even track this anymore.
Right.
But if we can do that, like that's what this is.
Well, and maybe the federal government admitted to it this week.
And the man who helped really uncover the story from the beginning is Ashton Forbes, one of our favorite guests here on the show. I call him a physicist because he is. Citizen journalist. and one of the most prolific individuals in this space, and just thrilled to have you on the show. Ashton, great to have you. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Clayton. Feelings mutual. It's always fun to talk to you.
Blast. I hope we have fun here. I'm really looking forward to this. So this is the reason I wanted to have you on, is because of this bombshell. There's a couple of stories over the past couple of weeks that kind of came out. I want to play this first soundbite from General Quast. Now he worked in Colorado, training individuals, and he saw this technology basically, I think, on the desks of Air Force engineers in the United States Air Force. And it was basically admitting that we have these incredible technologies that allows us to teleport, transport in ways that you wouldn't blow your mind. So let me just play a few seconds of this. Watch this one.
The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here. But I've had the benefit of 33 years of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour. To deliver Wi-Fi from space where you never need a cell tower to connect. To deliver.
Yeah. And then this just happened over the past 48 hours. Trump White House official of science and technology policy director Michael Kriatzos said that we possess the technology that can manipulate time and space. Watch.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity.
So he's basically, and I love what you tweeted the other day. You pointed out basically he's admitting that we allowed our technology to sort of purposefully stagnate. Mm-hmm. That we almost like slowed it down on purpose, yet we have the ability to manipulate time and space. So first of all, when you heard his comments, what did you think?
Yeah, and the first thing I thought was, okay, let me see the context. And when you get the context, it's actually even crazier in the context. He's saying that we intentionally made a choice to hamstring our technology. And he's talking specifically about transportation technology. And then he says, we are capable of so much more. And when he says that we have the ability to manipulate time and space, he's talking about gravity manipulation. That's what manipulation of time and space literally is. And then after that, he kind of speaks to other things that also would speak to things like what plasma might do to make things grow, as well as just, other applications for the same technology, potentially as well, like AI. He speaks to making things more productive, which in today's day and age would mean AI. He says something about the 1970s, which I don't think anybody really picked up on. But if you're somebody that has researched gravity research, in the 70s, the Mansfield Amendment was passed. And what this did was made it so that the military could not fund things that were not related to combat, direct military applications. And so gravity research got pushed to the defense contractors. So all of these references, like there's no way, if you're somebody, people gaslighting about, oh, he's talking about telephones and internet. These people are sitting at the little kids table, right? Well, there's two videos out there, perfect.
I don't know why we're getting so many interruptions. Sorry about that.
Yeah, a little buffering. So crazy.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, how about this? I'll do the steel man of the normies.
Okay.
And you do the Ashton side of this.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
all right.
What he's saying is flowery language around really the Peter Thiel thesis from the late 90s, early 2000s, which is that we've regulated the hell out of anything made out of atoms, and therefore we've slowed down a lot of our progress in that area. In the area of bits, we've left it relatively free, and we've seen tremendous progress. So we need to deregulate the area of atoms so that we can solve these problems that we've stagnated on for such a long time, because we've made it functionally impossible to make things in America.
I think that's a fair steal, man. I mean, on the flip side, you would think that if it were about something so tangible and so kind of mundane in a sense, they would be a little more direct about that. Yeah, I get the flowery language piece and sort of this forward-looking grand vision, but this is very specific the way they're saying this.
Also, it said we possess.
Yeah,
right.
Like that is very direct language to say we have technology, not we're envisioning a future where all this cool stuff could happen. This seems very present moment to me. And I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence, especially within the broader, extraterrestrial conspiracy world, that there's a lot of technology out there that we know the military has, or we think the military has and has had for a long time, that civilians haven't known about. More recently, just this year, since Trump's inauguration, or really even since the election, there have been all these, UAP sightings. There's been all this disclosure stuff. There was all the mystery around what the drones over New Jersey were, and Trump was very dismissive of that.
Well, we got an answer to that.
What was the answer?
Yeah. So this was a while ago. There was a press conference where they said it was a government test.
Oh, it was a test for measuring like people's response to that, right?
Yeah.
It was like a social experiment.
Kind of. I didn't hear a social experiment, but I thought it was like a technology test of like these drones, like how long they could keep in the air.
Oh,
and,
interesting.
all that kind of stuff. But maybe it was a social experiment. Maybe it
Well,
was.
that aside, we've got the Tic Tac, we've got the orb over the base in Baghdad, I believe, right? We've got, all these sightings from pilots and all these people who've seen very interesting, curious things. In fact, a friend of mine just saw a UAP over Bozeman, like 5 days ago or less.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
I've got pictures of it too. And he sent me some pictures.
Whoa.
So we can pull that up. But I think this could be something more substantial than just flowery language.
So I'm conflicted because I also saw something weird over Bozeman.
Did you?
Yeah.
When?
This was, God, when was this? The fall of last year. I was on the east side of town and I was heading west and I saw this dot, red, maybe orange, colorblind, sorry, streak across the sky with no tail to it. Wasn't a comet. Never seen a comet without a tail before.
Couldn't have been a plane.
It was way too fast.
Way too fast.
I mean, it was above my head and to the horizon within a second.
Wow.
Yeah, very quick.
That's crazy.
Right. And I was like freaked out. And then I was driving Uber and person came in and was like, hey, have you ever seen a meteorite without a tail on it before? They're like, no. And I was asking everyone I could think of. I was like, have you ever seen that? And like everyone was, getting a little annoying. And then I went to a friend's house. We were watching the UFC fight. And I asked him, I was like, you ever see this? And he was like, no. But I thought I saw something the other day that was kind of like that. He also saw it.
The same one?
Yeah.
No
or
way.
This around the
Or
same
a similar
time.
one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I've never seen one.
yeah.
I've been like trying to manifest seeing some sort of UAP forever. In fact, every time I'm on the Smith,
You want to believe.
like we go on this remote river trip. There's no cell service. Incredible sky watching. You can see everything. And at the same camp, every time we stay at this camp, it's got a perfect beach, perfect angle. I'll just lay at this, looking at the sky early in the morning when everyone else has gone to bed. I'm just like, come on. One thing I noticed, I want to go back, if you can roll this clip back to where the government official is talking. What is up with the logo of this behind this guy?
Yeah, the second guy, is that what we're talking
Endless
about?
Frontiers, Texas, USA, 414. Okay, so what's with the dots and the dashes? What's that say to you?
I don't know.
It's just a very random assortment of things that seemingly don't have any significance.
Yeah. What does that say? Endless Frontiers? Where does it say Texas?
Texas, USA, 414. to 16, 2025, Building a Strong America. So it looks like some sort of, oh, I know exactly what it is. Endless Frontiers. So I looked it up.
Oh, okay. What is
That's
it?
Morse code.
Oh.
And the dot is an E and dot dot dash dot is an F. Endless Frontiers. Never mind. I solved my own question.
This is likely referring to a retreat in Austin, Texas on April 14th, 2025, where Michael Krostios, is that right?
I'm not sure.
Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, made comments that sparked significant attention. Yeah, according to Grok.
Okay.
Invite
Well, never
only
mind. No
a summit
conspiracy.
co-hosted by the Council on Foreign Relations.
Oh, dubious.
Rice University, Texas A&M, and Baylor University. Interesting. 200 leaders from government, academia, and industry to discuss technological competitiveness, particularly against rivals like China.
So I guess my question is, do you think that this statement is the beginning of some kind of government disclosure of technology that we've thought existed that now we're kind of maybe going to be getting answers about?
No. The reason why is because thinking like the state, you would want to keep this as secret as possible until you needed it, specifically as a nuclear deterrent.
But how is time travel and space travel a nuclear deterrent? How would you use that?
Instantaneous delivery without detection.
So you could just teleport a nuke to
Yeah.
Beijing and let it go?
So you can have first strike capability. That's always the incentive.
Oh, wow.
First strike capability.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah. It is fucked up.
Wow. Okay. Wild.
So so this guy, this Ashton guy, he believes it's the Malaysian fight thing. Let's dig into that. That the connection there and kind of where he sees the. I'm not qualified to be able to follow the science exactly here, but I'm interested in what he has to say.
Well, you should just blindly follow the science then.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Missing 11 years later. So we got to just be real about it, as much as we don't want to believe it, whatever, but it seems undeniable to me.
Yeah, we're watching this. This is MH370 on the screen here, which of course disappears using. So would you say that maybe the same technologies that he's talking about is what allowed the United States government to disappear MH370?
Yeah, definitely. And what we're talking about here is technology that you can find a lot of videos of engineers talking about this. That 0-point energy technology is an echelon above anything that we have conventionally right now. So even nukes are completely obsolete in face of this level of technology. And you'll hear people talking about this all over the place. So you can imagine a lot of scenarios where with this type of technology, the United States government is uncontested in the world. And this explains why nobody has really actually tried to challenge us on the global stage for, almost an entire century at this point. And some people say, well, if these are out there, could other countries have figured it out? Yes, I think there's a shadow arms race. And I think this overlaps with the UFO community where they say that, this might be UFO tech or whatever. And then Russia and China are working on this. This is what scares me the most about this is that, if two warring factions get this level of technology, the science on display here that I want to go through with you today, it has the capability of producing not just a wormhole, but actually a black hole, like annihilation of the entire planet, maybe even the entire solar system. It's just a matter of scale. And what you realize from these videos and the science related to them is that physics, the universe is scale invariant. Stuff that you can do on the small level, small scale, you can also do on the large scale.
Yeah. Spooky stuff at a distance. That's Einstein's quote. Talking about where two atoms are like paired together over.
Oh, entanglement?
Quantum entanglement. Yeah. I don't know.
Oof.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, especially if you look at like the Weinstein's criticism of string theory and like how that's like stalled out for like 50 years now.
Yep.
That it could be like a giant rabbit hole that they're kind of going in towards here rather than actually discussing the things that actually lead to real foundational changes in technology.
You mean string theory is sort of like a distraction from the way physics actually operates?
Yeah. Or at least that they're overly obsessed with that. They're not doing stuff into looking at what he's talking about right now.
Well, I mean, and what Weinstein talks about is a lot of the ideological capture within the physics community, where if you bring up an alternate idea, such as this or other ideas, you're immediately blackballed. You're you're out of the social circle, so to speak, which is I think true across a lot of scientific domains.
Oh yeah, that's a human thing, right? Humans are tribal creatures. We do this. You're like intellectual lineage really matters because that's the way we kind of govern and shorthand like big ideas into people and then into a lineage.
Well, right. And I mean, by suggesting an alternate theory, you're essentially saying that people that have come before me were wrong.
Right.
And that it flies in the face of people who have a lot of pride in their discoveries and their work and, you know, and then, like you said, the whole lineage of that person, whoever studied under whoever's idea you're challenging, is then threatened as well, and their career and their credentials and their authority is called into question.
Yeah,
dangerous.
I do think he's probably overweighing the whole like American century, like exactly what it meant. I mean, we spent trillions and trillions of dollars maintaining our hegemony, kind of de-emphasizing that. Right, we kept the Central America from doing anything because we sponsored juntas in their hinterlands for 50 years, right? Costing hundreds of thousands of deaths and civil wars and all that kind of stuff. So you look at Nicaragua, you look at Cuba, you look at many places across El Salvador, places like that, all across Central America and South America. You'll have those stories, right? Across the Middle East, same story. Across Asia, same story. We've been interfering with these places with our conventional forces and covert ops for a very long time to maintain our hegemony. That said, could the U.S. government be cultivating secret technologies in order to get an ultimate first strike capability and or weapons beyond that of nuclear weapons so that they can maintain their hegemony? Of course they would if they could, right? Like the motive is so obviously clear. Yeah. Now the motive for MH370 has never been that super clear to me. They've done stuff about like semiconductors and like Asian scientists that are like switching sides or something like that. Maybe, that could be it. That's
why they disappeared it?
Yeah,
because there were people on board who were going to betray secrets. Interesting.
That's one of the theories from guys like Ashton Forbes on this issue. And I'm open to that being true, but it seems drastic, especially when you got like a heart attack gun, like three heart attack gun bullets and then your problem's done.
Yeah.
It would be less suspicious than an entire airplane going missing, right?
Well, right. Unless it was like, well, we need to test this tech anyway, and
that could be it too.
The question is, in my mind, where did it go?
Yeah, in the Indian Sea, if I understand right, because they found parts of it in the Indian Sea.
So they teleported it to the bottom of the ocean?
To some place in the Indian Sea where it broke apart. Maybe the process of itself broke it apart. I don't know.
The process of moving matter this way?
Yeah. Which is sensible, right? You would think that if what you're doing is retracting space, that the atoms that you're attracting with it wouldn't be stable when it unretracts, perhaps.
They would just vaporize?
Well, or at least come apart in various different areas that are bonds that are weaker. That would be sensible. I mean, I don't know, but
it's probably a Boeing, wasn't it?
There's Boeing's never been the same ever
They should have tested it on an Airbus. It would have been totally fine.
Let's keep going and see where else it goes with it.
Sure.
Those orbs that you see there, they are mimicking atoms. It looks like an atom. It's a positively charged plasma center with electrons that you can see as green as a shell around it. You can even see the shell of the electrons move fluidly when they start to spin around the plane because of the magnetic field they're producing around the plane. It's just wild when you look at it and you can see all of that detail from that. So what I was hoping today is and I've seen you talk to Tucker Carlson, some people that are really prominent and connected. And I want to help because you're saying all the right stuff to get all the lingo and arm you with all the tools that you need to help explain to the general masses and to these people who are connected, like what's really going on here from the scientific perspective and from a suppression perspective and national security as well.
Please. So let's get into it. So, I mean, I think what you just said is amazing. The nuclear weapons are obsolete. Nuclear weapons are obsolete, that we have the ability to manipulate time and space. Those are the weapons that's why no one wants to touch us, because we have things that are far more powerful. And I think you would agree that these technologies have come from UFO crash retrieval programs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of options. I'm open-minded, and I've now grown to have a viewpoint of anything is possible under the right conditions. So does it come from aliens? Does it come from things that we dug up? Does it come from future humans or another dimension? I don't know if we have enough evidence to say for sure at the moment. I will say I'm pretty confident there's a psychological operation going on to get us to be convinced that humans can't understand this, that it's alien technology. It's alien physics that humans can't possibly understand. And that way, if we're doing black operations, covert operations, which is what the MH370 videos show, we can blame it on aliens. Oh, it was aliens zapped the plane away. No, aliens aren't zapping the plane away. That's us. That's what humans do. So I think that they're trying to get us to avoid that. And it's very important to realize that there is no alien physics. Anything that aliens can understand anywhere in this universe, that's physics that we can understand. We are simply missing something that's probably right in front of us when it comes to how these UFOs we see flying in the sky are moving around. And absolutely, anyone out there, UFOs are real. There are things flying around that people do not understand. It doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens, though. Here's the secret. After I dug into it as an investigator, the answer to the question of how this is all possible is negative energy. And you go, wait, Ashton, all the academics are saying that negative energy is this non-existent exotic substance. Yeah. Why are they saying that? Because it's not. It's a conceptual misunderstanding.
So I think the motive to like point towards aliens is an interesting one, right? Because there's a whole, okay, so when you're trying to navigate, is something true or not? Means, motive, material evidence, right? So do we have, he's pointing that we have material evidence that there's these things in the sky that we don't understand, right? And they exhibit characteristics we don't understand, but maybe here's a theory that could explain what those are, negative energy.
Sure.
What are their motives for that? Well, it's to have technological dominance, right?
Right.
How did we get that? The means. How did we get that technology? We don't know.
Maybe it was the $7 trillion that went missing from the Pentagon budget the day before 9/11.
That could just be bad accounting practices. We're not great at that. We're realizing that with Doge. But it could be black ops. It could be...
I'm sorry. $7 trillion. That's not an accounting error, David. That's just not.
Yeah. I agree.
What about all the drugs we've been smuggling around the world to fund black budget operations?
Yeah. Where does all that money go?
Where's all that going?
USAID. No, I don't know.
I think that's taxpayer dollars, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. It's probably spent on operations, right? It's probably spent on the weapons that you're moving. You're selling those for, on the agents and the assets, paying off informants, all that kind of stuff. But it could be a lot more than that. It could be.
What's going on at Area 51?
I don't know.
What's Bob Lazar on about?
I don't know. That's a great question. Yeah, and I think that's the connection that the redacted guy's making, is that there's, maybe there's an initial inspiration based upon, crashed devices from an alien, and then, civilization that's out there, and then we've adopted that technology, used that as our basis for developing these, and now we control them.
Is it wise to assume that the United States is the only nation on Earth that has retrieved this technology? Or is that sort of a little hubristic?
No, I'm pretty sure that's not true. I think there's evidence of Russian incidents in Siberia.
So it's fair to assume, perhaps, just assuming that we're not the only ones, that there may be a shadow arms race going on to figure out how to integrate some of these advanced technologies into our defense program, so that we don't get overtaken by China if China figures out how to, zap a nuke into a major metro area in the United States.
That's right. Assuming that they would ever want to do that, because you still have the problem of the thousands of nukes that would then get propelled into the air that you have to stop.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do a simultaneous attack across all the different nuclear facilities you're aware of, and
there may be some you're not aware of.
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah. And not to mention submarines. You got to know where the submarines are at. Those are all nuclear capable.
Yeah.
Remember the Ron Paul quote: "We could defend this country with a couple good submarines," right? Because that's how many nukes are capable on these submarines.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay,
so what about the incidents of these, the orbs appearing over nuke sites in Montana and deactivating them?
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Is that us experimenting on our own military?
Is it?
Is that a third party, another actor from outer space?
Or another nation?
Yeah, another country. That'd be even creepier. That would be scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know. It's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
Yeah. The thing that I see is that, I can understand people's arguments that they're saying like all the alien stuff is a distraction. It's in order to get you to look at it from a particular directive. Either it's that we can't possibly create this stuff because the government actually has it and they want to create that impression, or so that you're not looking at, the fact that we're currently, really pumped that Al-Qaeda is now in charge of Syria. Like that story falls down and your attention is, limited. So you attend to cool, freaky space stuff.
Yeah. You know what else fell out of the zeitgeist?
What's that?
The Epstein client list we were supposed to get.
Yeah. Also that you're not.
Where the hell's the list, Pam? Come on, we're waiting and we have not forgotten.
Exactly. He has interesting means, motive, and material evidence too, in the sense of he has a theory for who actually dropped the video on YouTube.
The MH370 video?
Yeah, right. And he has a particular person who mysteriously went to prison, who was probably at the right place, right time, the right agency to have be the one to drop this.
An absolute patriot.
Yeah.
Who does he name them?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It was like last summer that I watched the stuff on that. But he has a theory there. He has the theory of the physics of how it could be working, although that is not proven, right? We got to hold that lightly because, until you could replicate the orb and control it, how do you do that?
Right.
And then other phenomena, it does have some explanatory power in the sense that other phenomena suddenly start to make sense. So you see the orb over Baghdad, you see the Tic Tac video and things like that. Like the characteristics they express could be, similar to what we're seeing with the MH370 video.
Does he get into how it could be operated at scale? It seems like however you're generating this amount of energy, I mean, that's got to be a tremendous amount of energy. Like how is it being produced? How is it being controlled? Like, does he have any insights into that?
I think that's a 0 point thing he's getting into.
Cool.
Here. Yeah.
And then boom, the whole universe opens up to us. Tesla technology is possible.
Yeah, let's break it down for the layperson and if we want to get this out to the masses. So like in my conversations with Tucker and others about this, trying to kind of break through maybe the psychological operation that's out there and lay it bare for everybody. Negative energy. What is it and how could it be used in all of these applications?
Exactly. So there's something called the vacuum catastrophe, which is that we look up in the sky and we measure the cosmic microwave background. We're measuring all the heat that we can see in the sky. And we say that that's all the energy that's out there in the universe. And it comes to this relatively small amount of energy. But then quantum mechanics came around. Wheeler and Feynman came into play. And Schwinger and Feynman won the Nobel Prize for quantum electrodynamics in 1965. John Archibald Wheeler and Richard Feynman said, when you do the math from the quantum perspective on the energy of the universe, it's over 120 orders of magnitude higher than when we measure the cosmic microwave background. Why this discrepancy? Which one is correct? Is there no 0 point energy out there to be tapped into? Or is there a huge ocean of energy that can be tapped into? The difference between this question is the difference between whether or not negative energy exists or not. If you don't think negative energy exists because it's an exotic substance, then you're somebody that believes that the cosmic microwave background is the answer, that there's no energy to be tapped into. But if you're somebody that understands quantum mechanics, you realize that we're not talking about thermal energy. We're not talking about heat. We're talking about vibrational energy. The 0 point energy, that ocean of energy, it's vibrating all the time on the tiniest possible scales. And that's how we interact with it. That's why Tesla was saying that there's an ether of energy and that the answer to the universe is energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yes.
So what these people need to understand then is, well, what's the thing that we missed? Zero's not the bottom. 0 point energy is quite literally the energy that exists below zero. The energy below the ground state. So zero is not the bottom. That's not zero. It's just the ground state. It's just the equilibrium state. That's us on top of the ocean. We're on top of the ocean floating around. So what's negative energy? Oh, if we tap into that 0 point energy, we pull it out. And what are those orbs doing in that video? This is why it's proof. This is why the zap in the video is absolute proof. The orbs are inducing a negative energy state through a low energy phase transition. The ground state of, imagine just a hydrogen atom. The ground state of the hydrogen atom is shrinking a little bit because they're shrinking the space. Like you look at my screen right here. Let me see if I can make this work. They're shrinking the size of the space itself. And when you do this, everything comes together. Everything gets squished together. And when you do this, it changes the permittivity of the vacuum of that region of space-time, allows for negative energy to be possible because the ground state goes down for every atom that's there. And when that occurs, there's a release of energy. That release of energy is an ultraviolet light. This is why in the whammy video, the satellite video, you see a flash of light come. So we're like, oh, there's light. But when you look in the thermal, it's black. It's cold.
Oh, so
it's
no, that's a great point.
ultraviolet light. Go ahead.
So let's show that. So this is the one where we see
that's gravitational lensing right there. Go ahead.
Gravitate. So what are we seeing here? So there it disappears.
So that was the frame right beforehand, and then the frame right after this wormhole opens up. By the way, there's only 4 frames of this wormhole, and you can actually see it open and close. You can even see the tail of the plane in the first frame right there. Now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing space-time being contracted. And when it gets contracted, the refractive index, the permittivity of the vacuum, changes. And when that happens, what you see is this effect where the ground state of your atom, of your hydrogen atom, your orbs, goes down. And what this does is it's like a trampoline, like jumping on a little trampoline. It pulls a little bit of energy out. And it doesn't even have to be that much energy because those balls of plasma are 20 feet wide of condensed charge. They're extremely powerful magnets. So when you jam them together, the closer they get, that force goes up and it amplifies to a degree where then, boom, space-time itself breaks down. Space-time itself breaks down. And magnetic reconnection occurs when the orbs get too close because these magnetic fields, these orbs, is so powerful. Now, the last thing I want to say on the orbs for you to understand, which is helpful, is that these are orbs of coherent plasma, meaning that what's happening is the magnetic and electric fields the plasma is producing is what's being used to make it into a sphere. You would say, wait, what? It's actually itself is making the fields that keep it trapped? Yes. So what they figured out is they move the plasma around the right way. The fields will cause the plasma to become an orb that stays coherent in the sky that can float around. And that's called magnetohydrodynamics, MHD. You'll see the acronym all over the place. They're using controlled, powerful magnetic fields to move the plasma around, keep the charge separated, the positive and the negative, so that it acts like a lightning bolt. And then somebody at some point figured out, oh, let's just jam a few of these together, and then boom, we can make things disappear. The last point I want to make is, well, you're saying it's teleportation. They could probably annihilate something as well. But for several reasons, including the phones ringing, the plane being seen later on, and all this weird dance the orbs are doing on the plane, I think it's actual teleportation. So what's happening is the orbs must have an equal number of charge between the 4 orbs. You've got 3 orbs around the plane, and you've got 1 orb somewhere else. So when this plane is being teleported, Delta, don't sue me, and then comes back, the orbs need to cancel out. So let's say you've got 2 of the orbs are positively charged and 2 are negatively charged. When they come together, they're going to equalize and they're going to dissipate. That could be one configuration. The other configuration could be that the 3 orbs next to the plane all add up to 1 negative charge. And then you have 1 positive charge, let's say at Diego Garcia or in the Maldives. And then when the orbs come together, it causes them to slingshot and come together, and then they appear at your new location. That's what these people have figured out. And it's crazy because it's so far beyond our current paradigm to think that not only could we have figured out gravity and have an actual working warp drive and wormhole technology, but to actually use it on an airplane that itself is not equipped. It's not like it's a Starship Enterprise. We used it on an airplane that was flying around in the sky. So this is like, you realize the implications of this right away, as I'm sure you've considered. You know, you could teleport a nuke onto somebody. This is technology that obsoletes all prior forms of weaponry.
So
Wild.
yeah, I can't follow the science here. I'm not educated enough on it, but I do find it interesting that there are obvious connection points. My first question is how do you control where the orbs go?
Right.
Orchestrate them. How do you carry around all the energy to do that? Mm-hmm. In a even if the balls are as large as he's saying they're 20 feet.
20 feet of coherent plasma.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
We need to get a physicist on here. We need to ask. All right. But I do wonder, if you had it, like, would you use it? Like, how would you use it this way?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. You think, yeah. And I think I can't, I'm not willing to judge that what they are talking about on the clips actually connect to this. It could very well be that, because if you were having a black budget, why would you ever allow someone who's capable of saying this on a camera say it? Other than it's a big screw up, that is possible. But I think doubt is warranted at that point.
Perfectly fair. I mean, a lot of proof left to substantiate his claims, but you make the point that the guy who released this seems to have been imprisoned. So it does seem like it is a leak.
Yeah.
These videos weren't supposed to come out. So
yes,
of course,
leaks
clandestine.
happen. Yeah, but there's a big difference between like a covert leak than a guy who's invited to a retreat being like, and we got all this really cool stuff that I can't tell you about. Like that seems.
When did MH370 happen?
Oh God, when was that? Was it?
He said it was like 11 or 12 years ago.
Is that sounds right? Yeah. Obama administration. I remember it, but I don't remember when it happened.
I will find out for us momentarily. It appears that it happened. Let's see, it disappeared in 2014.
So yeah, 11 years ago.
Obama administration.
I think Obama would do it.
Oh, he would for sure do it.
Yeah.
Well, he's just a puppet anyways, right? And maybe the reason for the release now is part of the reason why the deep state hates Trump. He's an unknown quantity. He might let the cat out of the bag on some stuff they've been doing for a long time that they don't want people to know about.
Maybe. On this though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like the benevolent uses of technology like this. Like zero point energy could provide the entire world, the entire universe with all the energy we need, the cleanest, greenest energy of all time, right? Without any emissions. I mean, it could
stable base load,
truly unlock like a golden age, unlike anything we could probably even imagine, right?
I think I would imagine if you're conceptualizing SpaceX and the effort to colonize Mars, if you can move even inanimate objects, a drone, something like that, to Mars within minutes, that means you can communicate within seconds, right?
Yeah.
And if you can communicate within seconds, when you don't have that delay, you can get automatic, drone capabilities on other planets that allow you to build up infrastructure so that you can move people there. I mean, like there's so
terraforming, all that sort of stuff.
Even if you can't move biological matter that way around, it would still be tremendously useful for so many other things.
Totally.
And that one guy was saying you can move a person an hour across the globe. Now that's way faster than hypersonics. And people in biology the acceleration for a hypersonic like that would kill people.
Totally.
So what's he talking about there? Like you got to move matter, biological matter at that speed? No, you're talking about something that's like a warp drive, something that's passing you through a wormhole. But you also are talking about condensing matter and then re-expanding it, which doesn't seem like you could hold the bonds of carbon and things like that together when you do that. So,
well, and I think that's would have to be the challenge, right? Is how do you keep the configuration of those atoms intact through that process without them showing up on the other side scrambled into dust. Right.
And that's the challenge of that Ashton has, right, is that he has to make that his evidence is legit, right? So he's defending the video. And then you have to believe once you believe the evidence, you have to be like, okay, here's the explanation for it that actually makes sense. And I think he's trying, but I don't know if we've gotten there yet on terms of like, this is something that I can intuitively get to as a non-specialist in the area.
Right.
To suggest that that's possible.
We would need a demonstration of this technology at America's birthday in, was it this July or next July? I forget.
What? Oh.
Isn't there like a big 250 year anniversary?
Is that right? Yeah, that sounds right.
Have you looked into any of the interesting symbolism and imagery around this thing?
No, what?
The Ingersoll, Ingersoll, what's it called? Ingersoll Lockwood.
No.
Okay, so Ingersoll Lockwood is the author of the children's novels, the Baron Trump novels.
Okay.
And so the organization, and I think if you go to Ingersoll Lockwood website, what is it? Ingersoll Lockwood Inc., Building a Brighter Future for America. So this is the location, and you can pull this up on the screen.
I'm trying to find it at your speed, but I've never looked at this before.
No problem. So funding American exceptionalism. We're building a brighter future for America. So this is the organization that is running or has proposed these ideas for the 250th birthday, the World's Fair kind of thing that Trump is planning, right? Let's see if I can find it. And there's all this interesting imagery of through the looking glass, and there's a rabbit and a mirror and all this stuff where you're like, what is the symbolism here? Symbolism.
Really?
In absence of Bennett. Yeah, let me see if I can pull this up because this is
put it in the notes and I'll bring it up.
The World's Fair. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. I'm throwing this in the notes right now for you. Okay. So you go to this page. The World's Fair, America 250, Pioneering Frontiers. And this is their concept for what the World's Fair thing could look like. It's their RFP, basically, or their proposal. Space Exploration Pavilion, U.S. Space Force Pavilion, Quantum Computing and Advanced Technology Hub, Digital Frontier, Cyberspace, Blockchain, Unlocking the Secrets of Tesla Pavilion. Tesla's groundbreaking inventions, showcasing replicas and models of Nikola Tesla's most influential work, including the Tesla coil, wireless energy and early radio, wireless power transfer. So these are all the things that are being talked about for this World's Fair that we're going to have.
Huh.
Which I guess would be next year.
In a Maha Pavilion, after all. Yeah.
Well, you got to have it. Transportation Innovation Pavilion.
Got the Hyperloop, solar-powered boats.
Yeah. Nothing
I don't
too
see
exciting
anything
there.
about orbs, but so where's your connection here?
Well, so I just think it's very interesting. So let me see if I can find. I think it's in option B. They have some imagery. Yeah. So scroll all the way down, all the way past that.
Option B.
Keep going.
Oh.
Option B, the Great American State Fair. So this is what I'm talking about. If you can zoom out a little bit.
No, I can't.
Okay. So rabbit,
you get the rabbit
and the mirror.
Looking the looking glass.
Yes.
He's looking into previous state fairs,
Yeah, but what's the symbolism of the rabbit and the mirror?
White rabbit. That's Alice in Wonderland.
All right. What is the symbolism of the white rabbit and the mirror regarding a looking glass? All right. It's a rich, multifaceted drawing heavily from literature, mythology, psychology, and pop culture. They're associated with themes of transformation, alternate realities, time, and self-discovery, particularly through the lens of Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. What was that?
That was this thing.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
I didn't know it was going to happen.
So anyway, I don't know.
on it.
I think there's a lot of mystery around this whole thing. And so with the Trump administration announcing this at this, Frontier Summit, seems very interesting. I'd like to look more into it. I'd like to dive more into it in future
100%.
SCIF episodes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm percolated. I find this stuff fascinating.
Oh, for
endlessly
sure.
fascinating. You never get tired of it.
For sure.
I'm going to check back in with Arrow too, see what happened with that.
Yeah.
Because after the last report, it kind of fell all apart. So I'm wondering what's going on there.
Right. But the Ingersoll Rand thing is super interesting. It's naming this company that's planning this World's Fair
after
with all this interesting through the looking glass, time travel, alternate reality stuff. Naming this company after the author of the books about Baron Trump, who was a time traveling boy, and all the parallels that go along with Trump and his son, whose name is Baron. It's kind of crazy. And maybe they're just playing into the mythology and just having fun with it. And
they might be aware of the
lore here.
The lore. Yeah.
I could totally see that, but part of me wants to believe there's something deeper going
Also, you kind of reward them just for the deep work. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You feed me, I'll feed you. Yeah.
Humans love a good story.
Yeah,
I love a
right.
good story here. I just want there to be substance to it.
Especially if it's a time travel story.
Yeah.
Best stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me time travel exists.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
That'd be kind of wild.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's to hoping that a golden age is upon us, greater than we could even imagine. Thanks for tuning into the SCIF today. We appreciate your members. Thank you for supporting the show. We will see you next week.
Peace.
My fellow Americans and time-traveling patriots, welcome to Ingersoll Lockwood Radio, where we go one, we go all together. One nation, under God.
You're now listening to Looking Glass Music. Down the rabbit hole we go, where the future proves the past.
For AI voices.
Sounds like Elon.
Yeah, the last one was JFK.
Look here, see?
What is going on here?
There is so much to dig
This
into.
website is wild.
Embrace to the northern place. From Canada's glory to Greenland's story, the great awakening's calling y'all. Well, we go one, we go all. From the highest highs to the canyons fall. Trump cards playing in the Freedom Hall. The great awakening's calling y'all.
Okay, I'm so in on this fucking thing. we gotta dedicate all the future skips to figuring this out.
God is saving humanity. The storm is almost here.
Globalists going, gone.
Turning red. A storm's blowing in, shaking up what's dead. Cash at the helm, leading through the haze. Scum on the run, watch their wicked ways.
Someone like got onto like an
Trump's
AI
in
music
place, ready
generator
for-
and did this.
Globalists fall at every turn. They plot and scheme but never learn.
Oh, I love this.
What is going on? This is so wild.
47 ordained to lead with vision sharp like a noble steed. Looking like shows us what's in store. The truth reveals so much more. Globalists trembling in their boots. Their plans collapse like beaten flutes. Elon and
tax
Junior
dollars meant to pay
standing
for this,
strong.
just saying.
Together we sing freedom song.
This is an appropriate use of USAID money, if I have to say.
God will.
Oh, I love this. I can't believe you haven't seen this yet.
No. What the fuck? What is going on? What is this?
But never learn. God's light shines so fierce and tall. Where we go one, we go all. From 47 ordained to lead with vision sharp like a noble steed. Looking like shows us what's in store.
Jeez. World's Fair 2026. Oh, I see what you mean. 150 years.
I rubbed my looking glasses with my handkerchief and returned home. What I realized, Alice, is that we must return to the real Wonderland. It's our land. We, the people.
Look at this.
Our current Great Awakening requires higher vibrations, higher frequency
Space.
interference,
Next-gen
and a
technology.
rediscovery
Faster,
of
more
our
efficient.
true history.
The rediscovery of our true
appears
history.
that with enough effort, self-reflection, brotherly love, and constant prayers, truth and justice will prevail. Humanity rests in the hands of the awakened. The sleeper must awaken.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's go.
Oh, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's with the exploding satellite, though?
Yeah, I don't know what this is about. Like some American exceptionalism. Huh. Yeah, this looks like a DOD commercial is what it looks like, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Air Force.
That is an Air Force commercial.
Yeah.
Is here.
A bunch of made-up technologies that
Raise
doesn't
the
exist yet.
flag for the beloved big bad of the year.
Wow.
I love the ragtime playlist, though.
And have a
Big fan.
cold
Yeah.
beer.
Huh.
Yep.
That's a lot of weird shit, Joe.
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if any of this will make it into the show.
Futurist. Oh, well, up to you, Bennett.
I think it's great.
Too interesting. All right.
This is the PS.
The PS.
For the people that stick around after the exit.
It's a little extra, a little bonus content.
All right.
All right, let's go.